bonus. Make every day a winning day.
What's going through your mind right now, Meredith?
I think that we needed to get away from there anywhere.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We need to get away from there anywhere.
But I wasn't really sure what to do at that point, and I also wanted Bud to be home safe, and that way he could sober up and all of this would be over.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Kelly Craft in for Ted Rollins along with Julia Janae.
And we are looking at some cases. We're tracking them for you this hour. Our cameras are all across the country. We're in Florida, where testimony is underway in the home renovation murder trial. The defendant there is Corey Benderum. He's facing multiple charges, including premeditated murder in the 2019 death of Susan Malden. Prosecutors say that Benderum, a former contractor, killed Malden, his client, because she was going to sue him for a botched bathroom home remodel. We'll monitor that courtroom throughout this day.
But we begin in South Carolina for the jealous husband murder trial. Bud Ackerman is accused of hitting and killing the boyfriend of his soon-to-be ex-wife in May of last year. Let's take you into that courtroom for more testimony from day 6.
Coming back to your eye, and in a basic sense, that's how bright something appears to you. So if you're looking at a given object, it may be brighter than its background, it may be darker than its background, it may be the same as its background, in which case you can't really tell or discern it from its background. So that's what those measurements are for, and I'm sure we'll talk about what that means in contrast later on. But for what I'm capturing at the scene with the photometer, that's a set of these images at given distances. And again, there's actual measurements and data, and visually this is what it looks like on this scale. So if you go down to here, 0.11, you're in the dark blue towards purple. So that's going to kind of be these areas here, these here. And it's not just measuring this and giving you an image in a scale bar. Once you actually go back, open up the file in the software, you can say, okay, this specific point right here, what is that measurement on that pixel? If say there's a cardboard box sitting here, you can circle the cardboard box, say, tell me the average of the values for that. This is just an overall visual representation of what the measurements, what the data looks like.
Okay. All right. What is that?
The next exhibit?
Yeah.
So eventually what I'm going to use all this data that I collected for at the scene doing these tests is to look at visibility using something called a visibility model. And we'll get into all the things that, determine if something is visibility. I just wanted to put this up and show you the model that I'm using. So this was developed by a doctor named Adrian back in the late 1980s, and subsequently it was adopted by the IES, the Illuminating Engineering Society, as part of their recommended practices, and it's still there in their recommended practices in their latest publications to date. So it's endorsed by them, it's widely used, it's been widely researched, so that's why I like to use this one.
So let me ask you, do you review like this peer-reviewed material and analysis?
Sure.
Technical publications?
Yes, and this would be one of them, and then other studies that have used this method and what their results are. My own paper, and see how it compares. Yes.
Okay, what exhibit is that?
So this is Exhibit 2, Foxtrot 1.
Okay. Continue.
So this is the paper that he published, basically just walking through the model, and it builds on earlier renditions. But this is the one that's been adopted by the IES. And what he's basically doing, and we'll get into hopefully not too much detail on this, he's looking at all the different factors that come into play as to whether something is visible or not. He's building them into the model, telling you the calculations as to how you carry it out, and eventually you get the end result, and you can, use that to evaluate how visible something is. But this, I just wanted to show the original paper by Dr. Adrian.
Is this doctor a recognized expert in this particular field that you're testifying about?
Yes, he was a member of the subject matter expert committees at the IES, and I believe he's passed since then, but like I said, the IES adopted this model and still has it in their practices today.
Okay. Go ahead. Next.
So I can keep this up, but I'm going to kind of walk through the different things that's done in this paper as they pertain to visibility. So
let me ask, is this you're talking about the Adrian visibility model?
Sure, and there's other models out there, and they incorporate some or different factors. This one incorporates, I would say, the most factors that affect visibility. So, and that's a lot of different things that we can walk through briefly.
Okay.
No, I didn't realize he was going to put this in and all these exhibits. I think a lot of this is hearsay. He can certainly use it. Is he now trying to publish it?
I'm sorry.
Well, if it is materials that are normally relied on by an expert in his particular field, then I don't know if you necessarily can just publish it verbatim, but certainly he can use that and portions of that he has relied on in support of his opinions.
Your Honor, he's offering it, I believe, as an exhibit of a learning treatise.
I'm objecting that it come
Right.
in.
I'm not going to allow that to come in, so that whenever this exhibit gets in, it needs to be redacted in some
so
form.
he can
However,
testify.
he can use that if it's customarily used by experts in his field.
thank
So
you.
just make sure that that does not come in.
And that exhibit is
That was 2 Foxtrot 1.
2 Foxtrot 1. Okay.
And I can walk through the various factors off the cuff. So things that influence visibility, there's a whole lot, and I'll try to give you some practical examples at the end. But one thing is going to be, what is the size of the thing that you're looking at?
Now, you're talking about visibility now.
Correct, visibility.
Go ahead.
So generally speaking, the smaller something is, the harder that it is to detect. The larger something is, the easier. Eventually, big is big. You're not going to get much more improvement over an elephant, say. But that size is one factor. Another one is how far away is the thing that you are looking at. Typically, something that is farther away is harder to detect for a number of reasons, but one could be the amount of light reaching it. So another factor as to whether something is visible is the ambient lighting, whether that's from the moon, whether that's from street lights, building lights, or with vehicle accidents from the from the headlights of a given vehicle. So that's how much light is reaching an object. So far we've got size, we've got distance, we've got the amount of light reaching an object, and like I talked about before, light gets to an object, how much light comes back. So that's that reflectance that I was talking about, where lighter colored objects have higher reflectance, you have more light reflected, reaching your eyeball, that appears brighter to you. So now we've got distance, size, light reaching the target, light coming back. There's some other things like glare. So you've all experienced glare. Say you've got vehicles coming at you, headlights coming at you. If you're on a pretty big highway, say there's a 30-foot median, it's not really going to bother you too much. You're still able to see pretty well. If you're on a 2-lane road, 1 lane in each direction, the other vehicle's right next to you, that's going to affect your ability to perceive things. It's called veiling luminance. It's basically a veil from scattered light on your retina. Basically, it just makes it harder to see and detect things in front of you. So we've got size, distance, light reaching an object, light coming back, glare that could reduce it. And for glare, it's not just the strength of the light source. Again, if it's way over there, it doesn't matter. It's how far away offset is it from you? Is it way off to your side? Is it right in front of you? So strength and location of glare. And then, of course, age. Just to put it frankly, people that are younger have a lot better ability to perceive contrast. And that's just the effect of the cornea aging and how much light gets through there. If we had a 20-year-old looking at something at night, and I'm not going to disparage Mr. Sperling, but if we put it right next to it, he's going to have about 1/4 the ability to perceive the exact same thing in the exact same conditions. So age is another very important factor to consider when you're trying to determine if something is visible for a given situation. And this paper that I mentioned, this Adrian model, he's taking into account the size of the target, the distance of the target, the light reaching the object, the light coming back from both the object and the background. Those are going to play into something called contrast that I'll talk about, so he's accounting for that. The model is accounting for glare, not only the amount reaching the viewer's location, but the actual position. How far offset is it from you? And he is incorporating the age of the observer. So you could run the visibility model and get a pretty good number for me. Run it for somebody twice my age, you're not going to get such a great result.
When you say you run the model, what are you doing in running it through?
So I'm basically running through these calculations that you saw in the paper. It's getting results for each different category, and then in the end, it's actually evaluating the contrast that you have for a given location and a given situation.
Is that a computer software program, or is it something else?
So there's some people that have written kind of automated. You plug in the numbers, kind of like a GUI graphics interface. You could do it by hand. It would take you a very long time. The practices that the IES has published it in, they make it a lot more digestible than this paper. What we've done, it's basically a spreadsheet. You have inputs for everything you measured or for things that you know, like age or how far away something is. You input those, and at the end, you get the end result, which is something called a visibility level, which is an evaluation of contrast, which is something we can talk about next.
All right, and you had mentioned something about conspicuity. Is that a factor in the methodology you used?
Right, we're determining how conspicuous something is, and that visibility level is something that tells you that. So what the model is doing at the end is essentially it's looking at, you have an object that has this luminance, it's this bright. Your overall background is this. What's that difference? Well, that difference is called contrast, and you need a certain amount of contrast to be able to see something. So if, just for example, if we take these tan-colored panels there on the wall, we've got our juror here with the black shirt and a white polo shirt underneath. If we were to stand there and say we take the judge and put him next to him with his black-colored robes, kill the lights, and we've got, say, somebody with an iPhone putting their flashlight on there. We're going to have completely different levels of contrast between all three things. That brown jacket is going to blend in pretty well and have a very similar brightness to that tan panel there. It's going to be pretty hard to see.
Really getting the jurors' attention there, making certain that they're not falling asleep by using some jurors as an example.
And maybe saying that Bud Ackerman couldn't see Davis, and that's the reason that he ran into him. We'll see what his official opinion is.
Yeah, good point. All right, we're going to get a quick break, but we're going to have more testimony from defense's witness number 2, Jonathan Nelson. He's an auto forensic engineer. We'll be right back.
It was mass chaos in Kenosha.
A 17-year-old boy charged with killing 2 people during a chaotic protest.
Kyle Rittenhouse is the hero of Kenosha.
My son lost his life protecting other people. My son was a hero.
People are dug in on both sides.
It was scary to put him on, but we felt as though we had to.
I intended to stop the people who were attacking me.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. All new Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
Hey, folks. Matt McCoy here to talk about the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford and why people love it so much. This is a good movie. looks like it got a 94% thumbs up. Now, that's pretty high. Even that's less than the 96% of customers 50 and over who recommend the Hartford. In fact, 4 out of 5 AARP members who switched to the Hartford from companies like Allstate, State Farm, and Geico got a lower rate. And many of them saved hundreds on their auto insurance. Not an AARP member? Hey, not to worry. The Hartford can help you join in minutes.
To start saving on your insurance today, get your free quote by calling the Hartford at 1-800-418-5830 or visit trusthartford.com.
I hear this place is great. 90% of diners recommend it. That doesn't beat the 96% of customers who recommend the Hartford. You just can't beat benefits like disappearing deductible. Plus, they offer new car replacement.
New car replacement?
Yep. If your new car is totaled, the Hartford will pay the full replacement cost.
The camera on this phone is amazing.
It's only a 93% satisfaction rating, though. Still less than the Hartford. You know what else? You can save even more if you bundle home and auto. For the savings, benefits, and best-in-class claims experience you deserve, make the switch today.
Join the millions of drivers 50 and over who switch to the AARP Auto Insurance Program from the Hartford and get the savings you want and the award-winning claims experience you deserve. To get your free no-obligation quote and see how much you could save, call the Hartford at 1-800-418-5830 or visit trusthartford.com. The Bucks got your back.
That closet in this economy? But you can afford these shoes.
Go to JustFab.com to get your first pair for $10 when you become a VIP.
Are you certain he'll fit?
Sure.
Are you for imprint certain?
Certainty matters. When you need certain promo gear, you can be certain 4 Imprints got it. Quality apparel? Got it. Drinkware? Got it. Bags? High-tech? Outdoor? Got it, got it, got it. So go get it at 4imprint.com.
4Imprint, for certain. We really need to get that life insurance.
I know, it's just a lot.
Did someone say life insurance? Introducing Evie for Ethos. Let's make this easy. In just 10 minutes, Ethos can help you protect your family's future for as little as $10 a month.
But the medical exams are invasive, right?
You won't feel a thing because there aren't any. Go to ethoslife.com, answer a few health questions, and you can get same-day coverage up to $2 million. Ethos. Life insurance so easy it feels like magic. Get a quote in seconds at ethoslife.com.
Home warranty.
Focus.
Yes, focus on an American Home Shield warranty. It can protect your covered home systems and appliances like this AC with a repair or replacement.
Yes, thank you.
Home.
It's home, not home.
Yeah, it's pretty sure it's home. American Home Shield. Sign up today at ahs.com.
What happens in Vegas stays. Well, not anymore. Play Quick Hit Slots, the free-to-play mobile slots game that everyone is playing from coast to coast. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
Welcome back. We are watching a trial in South Carolina where testimony in the murder trial for William Bud Ackerman is unfolding now.
He is charged with murder in the death of Kenneth Davis McClendon, who died after he was hit by a car. Prosecutors say that crash was no accident, and they point to Ackerman as the killer.
We're in the defense case now, so we have a defense expert on the stand who is sharing the forensics and the visibility that would have been in that area that night. This expert is Jonathan Nelson. Let's go back in right where we left off.
That white shirt is probably going to stand out pretty well in something called positive contrast. It is brighter, lighter than the background behind it. The judge's robes, they're actually still going to stand out because they're going to be darker, which is called negative contrast, than their background. And just to put the visibility model into play, you know, if somebody's standing out there with their light, again, I'm standing next to Mr. Swirling, I'll be able to back up quite a bit further and be able to pick out Okay, there's the brown jacket, there's the white shirt, there's the black. Mr. Swirling may not, which means he's either got to get closer, reduce that distance, or we find somebody with a more powerful flashlight on their phone, and we increase the amount of light coming back, then he can see it. So again, that's all these things that are going into the model. It's evaluating contrast and then giving you a visibility level that basically tells you how visible something is for all these different conditions.
What are the primary factors in contrast? You've mentioned that a couple times. Contrast.
Sure. So again, it's that size of the target, distance to the target, all those different factors. And what it comes to eventually in the end is you're going to have a difference in brightness between, say, that white shirt and that tan panel. And what if that distance is big enough compared to the background, it's going to have good contrast. If it's really, really close, it's not going to have any contrast, and it's just going to blend in.
So is that the illumination or luminance that you're referring to?
Sure, that all plays into it. It's luminance reaching it, and then it's luminance coming back. And it's it's luminance of one thing compared to another, and how much contrast you have.
So how does the Adrian visibility model that you referred to, how does that analyze the facts you've observed and noted?
Sure. So I think this next exhibit will help. And this is partly a more neat version of my handwritten notes.
And what exhibit is this?
This is 2 Golf 1.
Okay.
2 Golf 1. So here, this is just a table of what you saw in my handwriting, 50, 75. These are those intervals going out to 300. These are the files for the images taken from the photometer. Those full scene had the different colors in the color scale. That's just the first page of this model. And then on the next one, this isn't directly related to the model, but this is me doing the end calculations of reflectance for the things that I measured at the scene. So these are the typed versions of my handwritten measurements right here of, again, luminance, that's light's coming back to you. Lux, that's light hitting the surface. And you can calculate that to get the reflectance. So this pavement here is a 0.15. That's pretty typical for asphalt. It's a little on the high side. This is pretty old, so it's kind of worn off, gotten a little bit lighter, but a pretty standard scene for asphalt. And then for the pedestrian, we're looking at pants, skin, shoes, and they're all coming in around a 0.36. So that's decent. It's not great. It's not the worst as far as how reflective something can be. You know, if you've got, say, white shirts, white pant, white vehicle, you're looking at around a 0.7 or just call it 70%. To keep it simple, if you're looking at, again, you've got this pretty gray asphalt, you're looking down around 15%. If we're looking at, you know, navy blue, black sweatshirt, black vehicle, UPS van, you're going to be looking at, you know, 10% less, down into the single digits. Here we're in the 30s. So again, that's not terrible. That's not the best thing, but that's going to affect how much light is coming back to, you know, the observer.
So this is 2 Golf 1, is that correct?
This is 2 Golf 1.
And this is the Adrian visibility model?
These are some of the calculations just from my notes leading into it, and I think the rest of this is going to be purely model. Yeah, so the rest of this is going to be building up the model and doing the calculations that are presented in the model and in the paper. So
what are the causes, if any, of difficulty in seeing a pedestrian at certain distances?
It would be low contrast, so blending into the background, whether that's because the target's not very reflective or they just happen to be of similar brightness. If it's pretty far away, it's going to be difficult. If it's going to be small, it could be more difficult. If you're an older observer, it could be difficult. If there's just not enough light reaching somewhere at a given time, it is going to be difficult. And if you're dealing with vehicle headlights, that could certainly depend on the terrain. You know, headlights are normally aimed down and to the right to kind of reduce the amount of glare. But conversely, if you're going, say, downhill, so your headlights are pointed downhill, but you're looking at something that's not down that same slope, your headlights are actually pointing further down. They're not pointing where the object that you need to see is. So headlight aim, whether that's just naturally due to the vehicle or headlight aim due to the terrain, that could certainly make something difficult to see.
All right, let me ask you this. Based upon everything you've done so far and your calculations, do you have an opinion as to what the distance would have been for Mr. Ackerman to have seen a pedestrian in the road on Avid Road?
I do. So I ran calculations and got visibility.
And to a reasonable degree of scientific or engineering certainty.
I do. So I ran the visibility model for all these different factors that are applicable to this case and calculated visibility levels from that 300 feet all the way to 50. And I believe that by around 100 feet, Mr. Ackerman would be able to start detecting that there was a pedestrian ahead of him.
100 feet?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other exhibits that you'd like to go through to demonstrate that?
Sure. I've got some that kind of demonstrate what existed at this site on Avid Road, which is namely a sloped road going down to where it starts to level off. So where the headlights are actually aiming changes as a vehicle travels down Avid Road, gets to the intersection and starts to level off, and are now actually pointing towards the area that we are concerned with. And I think visually you can understand the concept of where headlights are pointing depending on the slope of your road. But I think to demonstrate it using the actual photometer measurements, so this is 2 Hotel 1. 2 Hotel 1 is the tag. This is from the position of 175 feet.
Excuse me, how is that made now?
This is with the imaging photometer that is measuring luminance of the entire scene in front of the sensor.
At what distance is this?
So
Do
this
you
is
have different distances?
Yes, this is 175 feet.
Okay, go ahead.
2H1, I'm sorry.
Yes, 2 Hotel 1. So this is at 175 feet from the approximate area of impact, which on Avid Road is on a more downhill portion of the approach. Now we go 25 feet ahead to 2 Hotel 2. We're now at 150 feet.
Now, is that on the same image that's on the screen? Just you moving up feet, is that correct?
Correct. So
what are you doing that in that right-hand column?
No, it's the tag name, the last part of the tag name at the top. There's a 175, there's a 150.
Okay, that's what so you're doing that on the, okay. Yep. That's part of the program. Okay.
So I'm jumping back and forth between 175 and 150.
We're going to bring in our guest for this hour, joining us in studio to discuss this case, trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, thank you so much for being with us today on this Friday. Great to see you. So, Kelly, as we're listening to this witness, we're getting a lot of information here talking about your eyes and your age, the moon, the distance, your clothing. Defense counsel is going to have to put all this together, tie it all up when we do get to closings so that the jurors can understand exactly what all of these experts are pointing to, which is this was just an accident.
Battle of the experts is definitely going to be key in this case. We have the state that brought their case and substantiated their position of what they believe really happened. And then now we have the defendant. This is their defense, and they have this expert that's going to help substantiate how difficult it was to see that night and how dark it was, and basically saying the fact that it was ultimately an accident and it was a mistake, but ultimately the jury will make that determination.
Yeah, how compelling do you think the visuals that this witness is able to show to this jury are helping this along? This could be a report, this could just be testimony, but they're actually seeing this imagery of what it may have looked like that night for Bud Ackerman.
That's definitely key because it's setting the stage. It's giving the jury an idea of what exactly happened so they can imagine, they can visualize exactly what transpired. How dark was it that night? What exactly did he see? Was it intentional? Did he run his car right into him? Or was it an accident that it was so dark he could not see him and he made a mistake?
You know, Kelly, we're still in the defense's case. Not sure how many witnesses they're going to call, but I would assume the state is going to put on a rebuttal case to try and refute some of the things that we're hearing from these defense experts.
The state definitely wants to first poke holes at this expert, and definitely you're going to see a lot of questions in regards to his expertise, what he's done. Try and show that this expert is not credible. So give doubt in the jury's mind that they can't believe what exactly he said and what transpired, and show a different alternative what happened, and then potentially have a rebuttal witness that's going to help substantiate their position of what exactly happened.
And we still will wait to see if Bud Ackerman is going to take the stand and tell this from his perspective. We could be getting very close to that. We're going to get to a break, but we have more direct examination from this defense expert, this auto forensic engineer, after this.
Are they really going to spend all day streaming college football on DirecTV? Can you blame them? They've got the biggest rivalries.
And bowl games. Speaking of, Frank, run a slant to the bowl of chips. Bobby, button hook to the salsa.
What are you going to do, Coach Prime?
Don't question your coach, man.
Hi, my name is Damian Clark. And if you have both Medicare and Medicaid, I have some really encouraging news that you'll definitely want to hear. Depending on the plans available in your area, you may be eligible to get extra benefits with the Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. Most plans include the Humana Healthy Options Allowance, a monthly allowance to help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items, like vitamins, pain relievers, first aid supplies, and more. The Healthy Options Allowance is loaded onto a prepaid card each month, and whatever you don't spend carries over from each month. You can pay nothing for covered prescriptions all year long, even name brand drugs. All plans have $0 copays for covered preventive dental services, which include 2 free cleanings a year, as well as fillings. They may also have vision coverage, including vision exams, and a yearly allowance towards eyewear, such as lenses or contacts. Even hearing coverage, which includes routine hearing exams and coverage towards hearing aids. You'll even have a $0 copay for routine vaccines and telehealth visits. Plus, your doctor, hospital, and pharmacy may already be part of our large Humana networks. So call the number on your screen now to speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. Wouldn't you love benefits like a monthly allowance? To help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call the number on your screen now and speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. If you're eligible, they can even help enroll you over the phone in a Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. And remember, annual enrollment ends on December 7th. So call now. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Honey, you were so right. I listed this in less than a minute.
I told you listing on Poshmark was quick and easy.
Oh, I sold my black tote and my slip dress. Let's go get mani-pedis.
Ooh, thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Poshmark.
Want extra cash? It's easy with the Poshmark app. Download to start selling today.
1 second, Grandma. This guy's gonna buy my car. Okay.
You need Carvana. Entering plate number. No accidents, right?
No.
Generating offer. Carvana can pick it up tomorrow.
That's an amazing offer.
Sell your car the easy way with Carvana.
I'm Daniel, the founder of Pretty Litter, the color-changing, health-monitoring cat litter. Did you know that cats tend to hide symptoms of sickness and pain? I learned this the hard way after losing my cat, which drove me to create this. By working with scientists and veterinarians, we were able to develop a new litter with color-changing technology to help you keep tabs on your cat's health. With advanced odor control, low dust, and easy maintenance, it's no wonder we're called the world's smartest litter. So give it a try. Visit prettylitter.com today.
These men of means with their silver spoons, what would become of them when they discover Robinhood Gold allows others to earn their very liberal rates on idle cash? They would descend into chaos.
This is the story of the one who doesn't just see a broken dock. He sees lost revenue, a late night, and work stalled to a halt. Thankfully, he has the experience to handle whatever comes his way and has Grainger on his side, offering access to technical product specialists and the scale to deliver fast, so he can keep his business in gear and always moving forward. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Kelly Craft in for Ted Rollins along with Julia Janae.
That's right. We are watching day 6 of the jealous husband murder trial. It is rolling on in South Carolina as the defense now continuing its case and presenting for William Bud Ackerman.
Ackerman stands accused of hitting and killing Davis McClendon in May of last year. Prosecutors believe the defendant wanted McClendon out of the picture due to his recent relationship with Ackerman's soon-to-be ex-wife. The question remains if the defendant will take the stand in his own defense. For now, let's get you back into court.
I'm jumping back and forth between 175 and 150. 150, you are still on the more downhill side of the approach. You're still pretty far from the intersection. And you really don't see much effect from the headlights as far as what's out in front. Now we proceed to 2 Hotel 3. This is 125 feet. You're still on the other side of that downhill approach. You haven't started leveling out to the common slope to the area of impact. You're still not seeing much difference in luminance.
At what distance is that? That what you were just?
At 125 feet.
Okay. Can you see a pedestrian standing in the roadway?
Well, again, this isn't depicting what you can see. It's showing measurements of luminance.
Okay, all right.
So,
go ahead. I just want you to explain that.
Sure, all luminance of everything in the scene.
Okay, wait a minute. Did you just say it's not depicting what you can see?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So we're at 125 feet here. We're going to get to 100 next. This is 2 Hotel 4. Right here, we're just about before where the slope starts leveling out and gets constant for the remainder. So we're still on the other side on the higher downhill slope. Again, you're not seeing much difference in luminance from anything that the headlights are pointed at. So now we're going to move on to 2 Hotel 4, which is going to be 75 feet. You're almost at the intersection. You're basically at the top of the curve from Sawgrass.
Well, Judge, I apologize. I thought what you said that exhibit was.
The next one is going to be 2 Hotel 5. This is 2 Hotel 4.
Okay. You good, Mr. Matters? Yes, sir. I apologize. Okay.
You were first referring to 2 Hotel 1, then 2 Hotel 3. Now this is?
It was 2 Hotel 1, which is 175 feet.
Right.
Hotel 2, 150 feet. Hotel 3, 125 feet. Hotel 4, which is 100 feet.
Okay.
And that's where I stopped. And now we're about to get to where the slope starts changing. And that's going to be 75 feet. So now, all of a sudden at 175 feet, all of a sudden the luminance ahead at the area of impact, particularly on the pedestrian and on the front of the vehicle, have changed.
All right, this is 2 Hotel 4.
This is 2 Hotel 5, 75 feet. So somewhere between 100 and 75 feet, the headlights all of a sudden come into play and are actually pointing at what's ahead above the roadway. And that continues as you get to down to 50, and this is 2 Hotel 6. Now you're on a nice constant slope for the rest of Avid Road towards the area of impact. So the headlights are now in play, and you're getting good differences in luminance between, say, a pant leg and a pant leg and the background.
Now go back to 2 Hotel 5 for a moment.
This is 2 Hotel 5.
Okay. Well, let's go back one more time. 4.
2 Hotel 4, 100.
Yeah. All right. With 2 Hotel 4, is a person visible at that distance?
Based on my calculations, by that point, the visibility levels from the model are such that you most likely have at least one leg and likely the second leg visible. If the pedestrian is standing as I have him here, full profile facing the truck, this is again one of those factors that play into it, so size. So here we've got the pedestrian perpendicular, fully facing the truck. You've got a higher size, whereas if he's sideways, it's going to be lower. It would be harder to detect. I've got him in the best position for visibility for the purposes of this testing.
Is that the visibility you're talking about of the pedestrian that they see on the screen?
It's the luminance, which then goes into the model to calculate if for a given person of age, at a distance, with this glare, all those other factors, what's the visibility level, how likely is it to be visible?
All right, and did you testify that you can see the leg there or something?
Right, by 100 feet, I think it's likely that you can see both legs and...
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's in 2 Hotel 4.
And again, for the record, I'm sorry, did you say likely? Yes.
At 100 feet, yes, you're likely able to perceive that.
That's 2 Hotel 4.
Yes.
All right, then you went to 2 Hotel 5, and what was the distance on 2 Hotel 5?
75 feet.
All right, and what do you see there? What are you observing there? What's the jury observing?
Well, again, it's the same setup of the exemplar vehicle. If I refer back to the actual calculations and go to 75 feet, how it works. So at 75 feet, you've got a VL of 90, that's off the charts good. You've got a VL of 70, that's off the charts good. You are definitely seeing both legs at this point. VL of 10 is on the upper side of good, so it's likely you're able to start seeing the actual torso portion there at 75 feet.
And what is VL?
So visibility level. It's the output of the model. It's a comparison to what you have in your given situation against what's actually necessary to see and detect something in that situation.
All right, well, do you have an opinion based upon a reasonable degree of scientific and engineering certainty as to at what distance would the pedestrian standing in the road been visible to the driver of the vehicle?
Yes, it's likely around 100 feet.
100 feet, okay. Now, let me, excuse me 1 minute. Do you have an opinion based upon a reasonable degree of scientific and engineering certainty as to the time, I'm sorry, based upon a reasonable degree of scientific or engineering certainty, I'm tired, as to when you said the pedestrian would be visible, but let's put it in time. How much time at 100 feet do you have an opinion as to when or how much time the driver of the vehicle would have had to make a stop of that vehicle?
Well, from the time of detection to reaching the area of the pedestrian, we have the distance of 100 feet. The time is dependent on speed. At, say, 25 miles an hour, that's going to be just over 2.5 seconds. At, say, 35 miles an hour, that's going to be just under 2 seconds.
So those numbers you just gave are the time that a person would have once they see the image of the pedestrian in the street to go ahead and have the time to react. Is that correct?
Correct. From about just under 2 to just over 2.5 from a range of 35 or 25 miles an hour.
How about discuss perception reaction time?
Sure. So once you actually detect something, you perceive it in front of you, the light bulb goes off. You don't instantaneously, your vehicle doesn't just do something. So you detect it, you have to identify what it is. Okay, that's a pedestrian, it's in front of me, I need to do something. You have to decide, what are you going to do? Are you going to break?
Great lawyering there by the defense attorney for Bud Ackerman, because that 100 feet of visibility that the expert said, it could seem like that's a lot of space, but when he said the timing is 2 to 2.5 seconds to react to a pedestrian, that makes a difference.
And that's why they always say, take your eye off the road for a second and then something bad can happen.
Absolutely. Let's get a break and we'll get in for more of this direct examination of this defense expert after this.
Tonight on Court TV.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. We have a big hour ahead here.
Your deplorable actions are unforgivable.
The community still doesn't know how this Boston police officer died.
He can't prove one element of his case. It was a dramatic day, a dramatic moment inside the courtroom.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Tonight at 8/7 Central. Only on Court TV.
Meet Just Fab, the shoe lover's best kept secret. Best styles, best prices. Up to 25% off retail. Go to justfab.com to get your first pair for $10 when you become a VIP.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted, because when your Generac detects a power outage, it automatically powers up, giving your family the security and peace of mind they deserve.
We don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
After the hurricane happened, we just want to be prepared for anything.
8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
You know what I love about Quick Hit Slots? It's the mobile slots game that gives you those authentic Vegas thrills. Quick Hit Slots has all the games you know and love. And best of all, the jackpot. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on getting you the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. But don't worry, we've got a lot more than that going for us. Woo! Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have flip phones like the Iris Flip. If you're someone that doesn't need all that mumbo-jumbo and just wants something simple. And now, we even have watches.
We do.
No matter what device you choose, you'll be happy to know that if your data needs change,
No problem.
with our SmartFlex feature, you don't have to sweat it. Like say you're on a road trip out west and end up using a bunch of data. We can simply flex you up to the next data tier for as little as $5. Then, when you get home, you can flex right back down with no penalty. So you only pay for what you actually need.
With Consumer Cellular, you get the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost.
I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Will our award-winning customer service help me switch over or add a line for $15 to make my own family plan?
Of course they will.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
You see that tower out there? It's a beauty. And there are thousands more like it, working hard for me and you, supplying 5G coverage to this beautiful nation of ours. We know how important coverage is. That's why we offer a risk-free guarantee. If you're not satisfied within 30 days of activation, you can pay nothing. Oh, look.
New customers save $50 when you sign up today. Call 1-800-918-5644. Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
Welcome back. Before we get you back into that courtroom, we're going to bring in trial attorney Kelly Hyman to discuss what we've been watching so far. And Kelly, I have a question for you. So if the defendant takes a stance first, do you think he should? If he's on cross-examination, they're going to bring up all of this information, how he clearly was not happy that his wife had moved on, had left him, and all of that is not going to look too good for the jurors.
Ultimately, it's going to be up to the defendant whether he takes the witness stand or not, and his attorney can advise them to take the witness stand or not take the witness stand. So if he does take the witness stand, the good side of it could be that he gets to tell his side of the story. He tells a jury and explains exactly what happens, and if he comes across as believable, then potentially the jury could say that he's not guilty. However, on the other side, that if it comes across as being this jealous husband that was enraged, that was really upset about what happened with his wife, and potentially that he had the intent, then the jury could come back and find him guilty of the charge. But if I was a betting person, I would say that he's not going to take the witness stand in this case.
And I bet that will have a lot to do with how strong they think these defense witnesses are. So let's go back into the courtroom and listen to this auto forensic engineer who's testifying. He's basically saying that the visibility on that night when the victim was in the road, Davis McClendon, that the defendant may not have been able to see him. So let's go in and listen to more from Jonathan Nelson.
Are you going to brake? Are you going to steer? Are you going to steer right? Are you going to steer left? People often steer away from a hazard. Not all people do. So do you brake? Do you steer? Do you do both? Some combination? How much of each? If all you do is brake, do you have time to come to a stop? Then you have to actually, once you've decided, physically carry out that action with your body. So that's either turning the wheel and trying to steer, it's taking your foot off the gas and hitting the brake, and all of that is built into what's called perception response time or perception reaction time, and that's an amount of time after you detect something that your vehicle is actually able to start some kind of maneuver to avoid. So again, it's not just detect it and you're automatically into a maneuver. You've got that processing time, that deciding time, and that's called PRT.
All right, so let's excuse me. The time or the distance that the pedestrian would have been visible to the driver of Mr. Ackerman. What's the distance, the earliest distance that he would have, the pedestrian would have been visible? You testified to.
Right, so that was likely around 100 feet.
100 feet. And the time involved that he would have had reaction time, what you testified to was what?
So again, speed dependent. At 35 miles an hour, that's just under 2 seconds. If you go down to 25 miles an hour, you're looking at just over 2.5 seconds.
All right, so let me ask you this. Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific or engineering certainty, given the time and distance that the pedestrian was visible, did Mr. Ackerman have a sufficient opportunity to avoid contact or impact with the pedestrian and the vehicle?
Objection. Don't answer that yet, because I've got an objection.
Objection. I don't think there's any way he can answer that. Whether he had time to stop. Objection. Speculation.
I want to ask Mr. Ackerman. I just said a person.
I thought he said Ackerman. I thought he said that. How long did Mr. Ackerman have?
I'll change it.
All right, are you okay with the question being a person?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
A person. Given the time and distance that the pedestrian was visible, would a person have a sufficient opportunity to avoid impact with the vehicle and the pedestrian, or the pedestrian?
Sure. So let's build PRT into the equation here. So let's take the 35 mile an hour example. You're just right under 2 seconds. Let's call it 2 seconds. So take a typical PRT. It's common to use, say, 1.5 seconds as an average, say 1.5 to 2, so we include most everybody. And, you know, that's for a pretty normal situation, nothing unexpected. To look at a situation like this, it's nighttime, you're dealing with an object that's not very conspicuous at first, but you're also dealing with two objects. You're dealing with the BMW in front of you with its headlights on that may draw your attention. and then all of a sudden you have a suddenly appearing pedestrian in front of you at that 100 feet. So that 1.5 to 2, it's logical to even raise it to say 1.5 to 2.5. You're still going to have people that are very fast. If you want to account for everybody, it could be up to 2.5. So if you're only detecting at 2, you may not even have time to react at all. If you're reacting quickly at, say, 1.5, okay, you've got a half second in that situation.
All right, so do you have an opinion based upon time, distance, and the PRT as to whether or not a person would have little or no time to attempt to avoid impacting the pedestrian?
Yes, I believe that most people would have little to no time to attempt to avoid impacting this pedestrian.
Taking all the factors that you talked about into consideration, I can just indulge one more.
All right, hitting the pause button on this testimony, no time to react. Yeah. That is the summary for this expert's testimony, and that's helpful to Bud Ackerman's case. We're going to get to a break. We'll get you back in for more of this testimony in the jealous husband murder trial. After this, you're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
When you have moderate to severe eczema, it's okay to show off. With Dupixent, show off your clearer skin and less itch. Because you have plenty of reasons to show off your skin. With Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists, you can stay ahead of your eczema. It helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body that can cause eczema to help heal your skin from within. Many adults saw 90% clearer skin. Some even achieved long-lasting clearer skin and fast itch relief after first dose. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Show off to the world. Ask your eczema specialist about Dupixent.
You'll find them in cities, towns, and suburbs all across America. Millions of Americans who have Medicare and Medicaid but may be missing benefits they could really use. Extra benefits they may be eligible to receive at no extra cost. And if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you may be able to get extra benefits too through a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan. Call now to see if you qualify. With the Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan, you could have doctor, hospital, and prescription drug coverage in one convenient plan. Plus, most plans include the Humana Healthy Options Allowance to help pay for essentials like eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and more. Your allowance is conveniently loaded onto a prepaid card each month, and whatever you don't spend gets carried over to the next month. Plus, you could get other important benefits. Most plans include dental coverage with $0 copays for covered preventive services, vision coverage, including eye exams and a yearly allowance for eyewear, even hearing benefits with routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. And you could pay nothing for covered prescriptions all year long. You'll also get $0 copays for routine vaccines and telehealth visits. And you'll have access to Humana's multiple large plan networks of doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. Best of all, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you may be eligible to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan right now. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call now to see if there's a plan in your area that could give you extra benefits. A knowledgeable licensed Humana sales agent will explain your coverage options, even help you enroll over the phone. It's that easy. Call today and we'll also send this free guide. But now is the time. The annual enrollment period ends December 7th. Humana, a more human way to health care.
Poshmark is the perfect side hustle. There's so much I can sell. Bags, clothes, and even electronics. It's so easy. I can list in 60 seconds or less. I can't imagine a better side hustle.
What happened happens in Vegas stays. Well, not anymore. Play Quick Hit Slots, the free-to-play mobile slots game that everyone is playing from coast to coast. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
When surprise breakdowns happen, American Home Shield will be there to fix or replace parts of the systems and appliances you rely on every day. They help protect your time and money by connecting you with qualified pros and helping pay for covered repairs or replacements. AHS offers flexible and affordable plans for every home. Sign up today and get $100 off with code AHS100. Visit AHS.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS.
When did you meet Davis McClendon?
I met Davis on my birthday, December 23rd.
Did y'all begin have a relationship?
Yes.
Did there come a point in the spring of 2023 where you're aware of that the defendant became aware of your relationship with Davis McClendon?
Yes. He was not happy. He was very upset. He was mad. He was hurt, but he was very mad.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Kelly Craft in for Ted Rollins along with Julia Janae.
That's right, and we are tracking multiple cases for you this hour, starting with a murder trial out of the Sunshine State of Florida.
Testimony is underway in the home renovation murder trial. This is the victim, Susan Malden. The defendant, Corey Bindrum, is facing multiple charges, including premeditated murder in her 2019 death. Now, prosecutors believe that Bindrum, a former contractor, killed Malden because she was going to sue him for a botched home remodel. We have an update later this hour on that case.
But we begin in South Carolina, the jealous husband murder trial. Bud Ackerman is accused of hitting and killing the boyfriend of his soon-to-be ex-wife. This was all in May of last year. Let's take you into that courtroom for more testimony. We're hearing the defense case, and an auto forensic engineer is on the stand saying that Bud Ackerman may not have been able to see the victim before he hit him.
Excuse me?
Just indulge me one moment.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So do you have an opinion based upon a reasonable degree of scientific or engineering certainty as to whether or not the time and distance you've calculated that the pedestrian was visible, did a person have, or would a person have sufficient opportunity to avoid impact?
I think it's likely that most people would have little to no opportunity to begin to try to avoid.
All right, and next, do you have an opinion based upon a reasonable degree of scientific and engineering certainty that there was any effort on the part of a person, in this particular case, to attempt to avoid the impact with the pedestrian?
Objection. Speculation. I believe that's going a little bit further than his area. I'm going to sustain the objection.
In accident reconstruction, if I can follow up with a couple of questions.
Right, and we'll see if it we can follow up with this objection.
I'm sorry, Judge.
I just said, yeah, go ahead, and we'll see if we have an objection.
You are certified as an expert in accident reconstruction.
Yes.
The question that I just asked you as to whether or not a person the signs that a person would have attempted to avoid impact, is that part of your field of expertise in accident reconstruction?
Yes, the maneuvers of looking at the maneuvers of vehicle two. Yes.
So, if I can, at this point, ask you, what would your opinion?
Repeat the question that Mr. Meadows objected to, because I think you asked it in a little bit different way. But if you can remember, repeat exactly what you asked Mr. Nelson when Mr. Meadows objected.
Do you have an opinion based upon a reasonable degree of scientific or engineering certainty that there was evidence in your expertise as an accident reconstructionist that Mr. Ackerman, in this particular case, attempted to avoid impact with the pedestrian?
Yeah. Mr. Meadows, you still object?
Yes, but
okay, all right. I think you didn't ask it quite that way, Mr. Swerling, but I think if he's aware of any evidence that has been presented in this case, then I think certainly that would be proper. I just think maybe you asked it a little bit differently.
Can I?
No, I mean, you can add, you're good. Keep moving forward.
I tried to repeat it exactly the way, but I apologize if I didn't. Go ahead.
So there is evidence that Mr. Ackerman steered left into the BMW at an angle.
Okay. Do you have an opinion as to whether or not, based upon a reasonable degree of scientific and engineering certainty, whether or not it was an angular strike or a parallel strike to the vehicle?
It was an angular.
I'm going to object because I don't think that's what he did in this case.
Right. It's already been testified to by your other expert that it was an angle and not parallel. We just got a difference of experts. So move on to something else, please.
He relied on what Mr. Torres said, so that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, move on to something else, please.
Can I ask him if he agrees with David Torres as far as his conclusion?
Sure.
Yes, I do. Yes, what Mr. Torres did and looking at the electronic data from the BMW, yes.